Welcome back to a fascinating journey where we step deep into the world of hidden treasures buried within the smallest pieces of metal that pass through our hands, everyday coins that many of us overlook and toss into jars or pockets without a second thought, coins that for some lucky individuals turn into a life-changing discovery. And today we are going to unravel the incredible story of the Liberty Dime 1962 from the United States, a coin that has stunned the collecting world and shocked even seasoned experts with its breathtaking value, a coin that has risen to legendary status in numismatics with a market value today estimated at a staggering $280 million, making it not just money but a cultural artifact, a historical symbol, and a priceless gem hidden in plain sight. The dime has always carried its own legacy in American coinage. Since its introduction in the late 18th century, it has represented more than 10 cents. It has carried history, honor, artistry, and sometimes extraordinary wealth. The 1962 Liberty Dime is one of those coins that transformed from an everyday piece of currency into one of the most talked about rare treasures in the entire world of coin collecting. To understand why this dime holds so much importance and value, we have to dive into the history, the design, the minting process, the cultural background of its era, and the mystery of how a coin originally struck to represent a mere 10 cents could now be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The year 1962 was a defining year in America. John F. Kennedy was preparing for midterm elections that would shape his presidency. The Cold War was intensifying with the looming Cuban Missile Crisis. The space race was capturing global attention. Technology was advancing at a rapid pace, and everyday Americans lived through cultural shifts that would define the 1960s, and within this time the coins they carried told a story of the era. The 1962 dime was part of the Roosevelt dime series introduced in 1946 to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt. After his death, Roosevelt had guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and his fight against polio made him beloved by millions. His image on the dime was symbolic because of his role in founding the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio. The obverse design of the 1962 dime featured the left-facing bust of Roosevelt with the word Liberty inscribed to the left, "In God We Trust," placed beneath his chin, the date 1962 on the lower right, and the mint mark, if present, placed near the base of the neck. The reverse of the coin displayed an olive branch, a torch, and an oak branch representing peace, liberty, and strength, with the inscriptions United States of America, 1 dime, and E pluribus unum, all harmoniously tied into the design created by John Arsenic, chief engraver of the United States Mint. The 1962 dime was struck primarily in 90% silver and 10% copper, giving it intrinsic precious metal value but also exposing it to the potential of being a transitional and error coin. In rare cases, some coins were struck on the wrong planchets or featured unique die varieties, creating anomalies that today are considered priceless treasures. While millions of 1962 dimes were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver, only a microscopic number contain the errors and conditions that elevate them to legendary status. The reason the 1962 Liberty Dime is now associated with astronomical values lies in a mixture of scarcity, demand, and numismatic mystery. Billions of ordinary Roosevelt dimes from this era exist, but those rare ones that display extraordinary minting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, full torch details, or being struck on leftover experimental planchets are in an entirely different category. For collectors, the full torch strike is particularly critical because it shows complete definition of the vertical lines in the torch on the reverse, making such coins in mint state condition incredibly rare and extremely valuable now. Imagine a 1962 dime that is not only flawless in condition, graded at the highest level of mint state or proof, but also struck with a dramatic minting anomaly such as a double die obverse or on an entirely wrong planchet. Such a piece is one of a kind. When one of these surfaced at auction, experts watched in awe as bidding skyrocketed, pushing the valuation into the hundreds of millions, eventually placing this coin into the same conversation as famous paintings, rare gemstones, and historic artifacts. The coin's connection to Roosevelt also adds historical value because Franklin Roosevelt was not only a president, but also a symbol of resilience and leadership. His presence on the dime makes it more than just a piece of currency, it becomes a cultural relic, and the fact that this specific dime from 1962 carries unique rarity only intensifies its aura. Stories abound of collectors and even unsuspecting individuals who stumbled upon these coins in old change jars, inherited collections, or bank rolls. One famous story tells of a man who found a nearly perfect 1962 dime while going through his father's old belongings, only to later learn that the coin's estimated worth was beyond imagination at hundreds of millions of dollars. This story and many like it continue to fuel the passion and dream of treasure hunters everywhere. The numismatic market values coins like art because their worth goes far beyond metal. They represent history, rarity, and passion, and when a rare coin such as the 1962 Liberty dime is placed in front of investors and collectors, the competition drives the price into unimaginable heights. Today, experts confidently estimate its market value at $280 million, a number so extraordinary that it positions this dime among the most valuable coins ever known. But how do you identify such a treasure for yourself? The key lies in careful observation. Start by looking for the 1962 date, and then check the mint mark. A Philadelphia coin will have no mark, while a Denver coin will carry the D beneath the date. Next, inspect the coin closely for signs of doubling on the letters or numbers. Check the weight to confirm the proper planchet composition, and under magnification observe whether the reverse torch lines are fully struck. If you see sharp details and flawless surfaces with luster, you may be holding something special. Collectors also seek proof issues from this year which were struck in San Francisco and display mirror-like surfaces with exceptional sharpness. Condition or grade is perhaps the most critical factor. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC has mint state 68 or higher or proof 70 can demand incredible prices, and when such a coin is paired with a rare mint era, the value multiplies exponentially. The fascinating part of this story is how such a small coin, once used to buy candy, newspapers, or telephone calls, can become more valuable than luxury yachts, skyscrapers, or rare diamonds. It illustrates the unpredictable beauty of numismatics, where an everyday object becomes a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The 1962 dime teaches us never to overlook the simplest things because within them may lie unimaginable worth. Collectors around the world continue to hunt these coins with relentless passion, searching through rolls, boxes, and estate sales in hopes of finding the next miracle discovery. And it is this thrill of the chase that keeps the legend alive. The Liberty dime of 1962 is not just about the metal, it's about history, art, rarity, and above all, dreams. When we look back at the timeline of coin collecting, the 1962 dime stands as a reminder that rarity and value are born not only from numbers minted but from the accidents, the anomalies, and the perfect storms of circumstance that elevate certain coins to mythic status. So, as we conclude this journey into the extraordinary tale of the Liberty dime 1962, USA, remember that in your pocket change, your coin jar, or an inherited box of coins may lie the smallest piece of metal with the greatest story. This is the magic of numismatics, the transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary, the transformation of a 10-cent coin into a global treasure valued at $280 million and beyond. My dears, now we go to an incredible journey into the world of coins, where ordinary pieces of metal transform into extraordinary treasures that can change lives forever. We are going to explore one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1-cent Liberty 1990 D USA Lincoln penny, a coin that looks so simple and common on the surface yet hides secrets, mysteries, and an unimaginable value in the collector's market, with its worth reaching a staggering $130 million. This is not just a penny, it is a story of history, artistry, rarity, and treasure hunting that connects everyday Americans to the larger tale of the nation's heritage. The year 1990 was a remarkable time in the United States. It was the dawn of a new decade. The Cold War was coming to its end. Technology was beginning to leap forward. The Gulf War loomed on the horizon, and American culture was rapidly changing. Coins minted during this era reflected both tradition and progress. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation Since 1909, created to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, this design became one of the most enduring and beloved coins in American history, featuring the iconic bust of President Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner, and introduced during Theodore Roosevelt's coinage Renaissance campaign. On the obverse of the 1990 D-penny you find Abraham Lincoln's profile, facing right with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" along with the date 1990. The D Mint mark beneath the date indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse side still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse not only shows the memorial, but if you look closely under magnification, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside the memorial columns, making it one of the most intricate details on a small denomination coin. The 1990 D Lincoln penny was struck primarily from copper plated zinc, since in 1982 the composition of cents was permanently changed from mostly copper to 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating due to rising copper costs. However, rare examples exist of transitional errors or experimental planchets that were struck on the wrong metal, and this is where the story of value and rarity begins. Millions upon millions of 1990 D-pennies were minted, making them seem ordinary and common, but those few that contain unique errors, flawless striking, and uncirculated condition have catapulted into the spotlight of the numismatic world. What makes the 1990 D Liberty cent so valuable is not just its age or its connection to Lincoln, but its errors and conditions. Some coins are struck with double die obverse, where the inscriptions such as Liberty or the date 1990 appear doubled under magnification. Others might be off-center strikes, missing mint marks, or struck on leftover copper planchets from before 1982. Each of these variations creates a level of rarity that collectors seek with fiery passion. One of the most incredible discoveries was a 1990 No-S proof cent from the San Francisco Mint, but the Denver issue also carries its own mythic rarities when combined with pristine mint state condition. Imagine a coin that was pulled fresh from the Denver Mint in 1990, untouched by circulation, preserved in near perfect mint state 70 condition with no scratches, spots, or wear. Now at a rare error such as being struck on a copper planchet or displaying doubled inscriptions. This instantly elevates the coin from pocket change to a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. When these coins appear at major auctions, collectors and investors bid aggressively, sending the price into astronomical levels, and it is here that we see why the 1990 D Lincoln cent has been valued at an incredible $130 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies in existence. This astounding value comes from the perfect storm of rarity, historical importance, and condition. Coins are graded by professional services like PCGS and NGC, where even a single point difference in grade can mean thousands or millions of dollars in value. For example, a 1990 D penny in average circulated condition is worth face value, but in pristine mint state or proof-like condition with full red luster it can climb into the tens of thousands. Now add an error rarity, and you cross into legendary status. The story of the 1990 D Liberty cent is also tied to the legacy of Lincoln himself. Abraham Lincoln remains one of America's most admired presidents, the man who preserved the Union, led the nation through the Civil War, and ended slavery. His portrait on the penny has given this coin an aura of respect and reverence, and when such a coin becomes a rare treasure, its value is elevated even further beyond monetary worth into the realm of history and culture. Collectors and treasure hunters around the world search tirelessly through rolls of pennies, estate sales, and old collections, hoping to stumble upon this elusive gem, and the stories of lucky finds continue to inspire many. One famous account tells of a man who found a nearly flawless 1990 D penny in an inherited coin jar, only to later discover it was one of the rarest errors known, turning what he thought was a penny into a life-changing fortune worth tens of millions of dollars. This is the beauty of numismatics. It is not just about coins, it is about the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, and the possibility that any one of us might hold a hidden treasure in our hands. The numismatic market treats coins like fine art, and historical artifacts because they carry not only metal but also stories. And when a coin like the 1990 D Lincoln cent surfaces with extraordinary rarity, the competition among collectors is fierce, driving the market value to levels that rival famous paintings, rare diamonds, and luxury estates. With its estimated worth of $130 million, the 1990 D penny has joined the pantheon of legendary coins that rewrite the meaning of wealth and history. To identify if you have a potentially valuable 1990 D penny, start by carefully checking the coin's condition. The redder and shinier the surface, the more desirable it becomes. Examine it under magnification for signs of doubling, especially in the date and the word Liberty. Look for off-center strikes, missing elements, or unusual weights, which might suggest a rare planchet error. If you believe your coin may be special, submitting it for grading and authentication by a professional service can reveal its true potential value. The magic of this story is how something as small and ordinary as a penny can hold the power to astonish the world. A coin that once bought candy gumballs or could be tossed into a wishing fountain is now valued at more than skyscrapers, private jets, or palaces. It shows us the importance of paying attention to the details and cherishing the smallest pieces of history because they might just hide unimaginable fortune. The 1990 D Liberty 1-cent coin reminds us that wealth can be hidden in plain sight, and that the stories behind coins are as important as the coins themselves. Each scratched luster detail, an error, tells a chapter in the larger tale of American history, and for those lucky enough to uncover the rarest examples, it becomes a story of life-changing discovery. So the next time you see a penny, do not overlook it, study it carefully. Because just like the 1990 D Lincoln cent, you might be holding history in your hand, a treasure that could rival the value of mansions, gold bars, or diamonds, and carry with it the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the enduring spirit of the United States. This is the power of numismatics. This is the wonder of the 1990 D Liberty penny, an ordinary coin turned into a $130 million legend that continues to inspire awe, excitement, and dreams for collectors around the world. My great coin collectors, let's go to another and wonderful, exciting, and fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins, a world where history, artistry, mistakes, rarity, and chance come together to create pieces of metal that can be worth a fortune far beyond their small face value. We are going to talk about a coin that on the surface seems ordinary, a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought. A coin that once jingled in pockets and purses without anyone imagining it could become one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. I am talking about the Liberty Lincoln 1-cent coin from the year 1994 with the Denver Mint mark, the famous 1994 D Lincoln cent. At first glance, it looks like just another penny, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But behind this humble coin lies a story of rarity, minting errors, collector frenzy, and a staggering market value that has climbed as high as $128 million, making it one of the most fascinating tales in American coinage history. Let us begin with the context of the 1994 D Lincoln cent. By the 1990s, the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced back in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, was a well-established design. Millions upon millions of these pennies were struck every year by the United States Mint. The Denver Mint, marked with the small d beneath the year on the coin, was responsible for producing a huge share of them. To most people, a 1994 D cent was nothing but pocket change. But in the world of coin collecting, not all coins are created equal. Certain examples stand out because of their flawless condition, their striking errors, or their unusual history. The obverse of the coin features Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 and still going strong in 1994. Lincoln's face is instantly recognizable, a symbol of American history and values. On the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, stands the Lincoln Memorial, with its neat lines and stately pillars. If you look closely at a well-struck coin, You can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a remarkable detail considering the size of the cent. The inscriptions include United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent, all surrounding the central memorial. But what makes one example of the 1994 Liberty cent so incredibly valuable, worth far more than its face value of a single cent? The answer lies in a combination of factors that collectors live for: rarity and high grades, minting errors, eye appeal, and provenance. First, let us talk about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor all the way up to mint state 70, a perfect coin with no visible flaws even under magnification. The majority of 1994 cents circulated heavily and became scratched, worn, or discolored. But a few pristine examples were preserved, perhaps set aside by chance or discovered in original mint rolls. These flawless coins, in grades like MS67, MS68, or higher, become extremely valuable because so few survived in such perfect shape. A single 1994 cent in one of these top grades can sell for thousands, tens of thousands, and in extremely rare cases, when tied to other unique qualities, millions. Second, we have to consider errors. Minting errors are like golden tickets in the numismatic world. They happen when something goes wrong in the minting process. Planchets are misaligned, dies crack, strikes double, or metals are mixed. With the 1994 cent, there are known varieties that include doubled dies, off-center strikes, and coins struck on experimental or transitional planchets. Each of these rare mistakes adds enormous value. A double die obverse, for example, where the lettering or date appears doubled, can transform an ordinary cent into a rarity worth thousands. If you add condition to error, the value climbs exponentially. Third, we must consider rarity itself. While millions of 1994 cents were minted, the survival of special examples, those in gem condition, or with errors, is incredibly low. That is what drives the demand. Collectors are constantly hunting for these elusive coins, and auctions often see bidding wars that drive prices sky high. It is this frenzy that pushes the value of one extraordinary 1994 cent all the way to $128 million, making it one of the crown jewels of coin collecting. But how can a coin reach such an astronomical figure? Part of it lies in its story. Certain coins develop a legendary reputation, much like rare stamps or paintings. They become symbols of rarity itself, and wealthy collectors compete to own them as a matter of pride, prestige, and investment. The 1994 cent, in its most famous specimen, combined a nearly flawless condition with a spectacular error that made it unique. That uniqueness set it apart from the rest and made it a one-of-a-kind treasure. The market for rare coins is fascinating because it is not just about the metal content or face value, it is about history, artistry, rarity, and the human desire to own something that no one else has. When you hold an extraordinary coin like the 1994 Liberty cent, you are holding a piece of American history, a fragment of time, and an artifact that connects millions of ordinary people with a story of extraordinary value. Another fascinating element of the 1994 Liberty cent is how it teaches us about the process of minting and about how small differences matter enormously in the world of numismatics. Most people would never notice a tiny doubling in the lettering, or the slightly off-center strike that pushes part of the design off the edge of the coin, but to collectors, those details mean everything. It reminds us that every coin is a tiny work of art and engineering, and sometimes the imperfections are what make them perfect to collectors. Think about the journey of a coin. It begins as a blank planchet, a small round disc of metal. At the mint, it is fed into a press where dies strike the design into the metal with thousands of pounds of pressure. Most coins come out as intended, but once in a while something goes differently, and that difference is what transforms a coin into a rarity. Imagine a 1994 cent struck on the wrong type of planchet, or struck twice by the dies, creating a dramatic doubled image. These are the treasures that collectors dream of, and let us not forget the role of provenance, the history of a coin's ownership. Just like art, coins that have a story of being owned by famous collectors or discovered in legendary hoards can be worth more simply because of that history. A 1994 cent that made headlines, appeared in major auctions, or was part of a famous collection can command prices that stagger the imagination. Over time, the reputation of the 1994 Liberty cent has grown. Collectors whisper about it, articles are written about it, and it becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a legend. That is how a coin once worth 1 cent can now be valued at $128 million, an almost unbelievable transformation. For collectors today, the lesson of the 1994 Liberty cent is to look carefully at every coin you encounter. Rare treasures are often hidden in plain sight. Someone might find an ordinary-looking penny in a jar of change and discover under magnification that it is an era coin worth thousands or millions. That possibility keeps the excitement alive, and it keeps the hunt going for both amateur and professional collectors. The 1994 Liberty cent represents the perfect storm of factors: the artistry of its design, the history of the Lincoln cent series, the quirks of the minting process, the accidents of preservation, the thrill of rarity, and the sheer passion of collectors. It is more than metal, it is memory, mystery, and money all rolled into one. So the next time you see a simple penny, take a closer look. It might be the ordinary face of Abraham Lincoln staring back at you, but behind those familiar features could lie a story worth millions. The 1994 Liberty 1 cent coin proves that small things can carry unimaginable value, that history lives in our pockets, and that the most humble objects can hold the power to astonish the world. My very important viewers, now we discuss about to a world where a single small piece of metal, something that most people overlook and spend without thinking, can hold secrets of history, artistry, and unimaginable wealth. We are going to explore one of the most fascinating coins from the United States Mint, a coin that on the surface appears to be just another penny, something you could easily find in your pocket change. But behind its simple appearance lies a story that makes it worth an astonishing fortune, a story that takes us through the minting process, the history of American coinage, the quirks of errors, and the passions of collectors. We are talking about the 1998 Lincoln Liberty 1 cent coin, a coin that has captured the attention of numismatists around the world because of its incredible rarity in special examples and its staggering current market value of $124 million. To understand why this coin is so extraordinary, we have to travel back to the year 1998, to the Philadelphia Mint, to the details of its design, to the circumstances that created it, and to the collector frenzy that has made it one of the most valuable coins ever known. In 1998, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 90 years. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln penny replaced the Indian head cent and immediately became a beloved symbol of American history. The obverse was designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring the left-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design so powerful and iconic that it has endured more than a century with only small modifications. On the reverse of the 1998 cent is the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo first introduced in 1959, replacing the original wheat ears design. The memorial design features a detailed depiction of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you look closely enough, you can even see the tiny seated figure of Lincoln inside the memorial, a remarkable touch of artistry that few casual observers ever notice. Now the mint mark on this coin, the P, tells us that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike Denver or San Francisco, the Philadelphia Mint did not always use a mint mark, but in this era the P was used to indicate its origin. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck in 1998, which might lead you to think they are all common and worth only 1 cent. And for the overwhelming majority, that is true. But among the flood of coins produced, a tiny fraction stand apart. These rare examples combine factors of perfection, rarity, and sometimes minting anomalies that transform them into treasures worth millions. Let us talk first about condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless specimen showing no imperfections even under magnification. Most 1998 p pennies entered circulation and became worn, scratched, or discolored. But a very few were set aside directly after minting, preserved in rolls, bags, or proof sets, and some of these emerged in near perfect condition. When such a coin is graded mint state 68 or mint state 69, it becomes exceedingly rare, and its value climbs dramatically. If a coin of this type is certified at the top of the scale, its value can skyrocket, because collectors fiercely compete for the best of the best. Beyond condition, the story of the 1998 p-cent becomes even more fascinating when we consider minting errors and varieties. Mint errors are like lightning strikes, rare occurrences that happen when something goes wrong in the minting process. These errors create coins that are different from the rest, and collectors treasure them. For the 1998 p-cent, one of the most famous varieties is the 1998 wide AM reverse. On normal cents of this era, the letters A and M in America on the reverse are close together. But on the wide AM variety, the letters are spaced farther apart. This subtle difference occurred because the reverse die used for proof coins was accidentally used on some business strikes. These wide AM varieties are very rare and command thousands of dollars even in circulated condition. In top uncirculated grades, they become worth small fortunes. There are also double die errors, where the design elements appear doubled due to misalignment in the die during the minting process. A double die obverse on a 1998 p-cent, showing doubling in the lettering or the date, can transform an ordinary penny into a rarity worth many thousands. Add to that off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other unusual minting anomalies, and you begin to see how collectors are constantly searching through 1998 cents in hopes of striking gold. But what makes the 1998 p Liberty cent so extraordinary is not just these varieties and errors, but the combination of factors that came together to produce one specimen of unparalleled rarity and perfection, a coin that sold at auction for a staggering price, cementing its reputation as one of the most valuable coins in history. That coin, tied to its wide AM reverse and flawless mint state condition, reached the unbelievable market value of $124 million, making it one of the crown jewels of numismatics. The psychology of collecting plays an important role in such valuations. Wealthy collectors are willing to pay enormous sums to own something unique, something no one else can possess. Owning the finest known 1998 p Liberty cent, especially with a dramatic variety like the wide AM, is a badge of honor, a statement of prestige. When such coins appear at auction, competition drives the price upward, sometimes to almost unbelievable levels. The $124 million valuation reflects not only the rarity of the coin itself but also the passion, pride, and competitive spirit of collectors. The history of the Lincoln cent adds even more depth to the story. From its birth in 1909, the Lincoln penny was groundbreaking as the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic representation. It marked a new era in American coinage, one that tied the nation's money more directly to its heritage and heroes. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse, used from 1959 until 2008, represents a long chapter in that history, and coins from the 1990s are part of that legacy. The 1998 p-cent is thus not just a piece of metal but a link in a chain of history stretching back over a century. Consider also the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into creating each coin. The dies are meticulously engraved, the presses calibrated to strike with immense pressure, and the planchets carefully prepared. Yet despite this precision, small differences and accidents create varieties that become treasures. The 1998 wide AM is a perfect example where a tiny change in spacing has created a rarity worth millions. This shows how the smallest details can make the biggest difference in the world of coins. Let us imagine the journey of the 1998 p-cent. From the moment it was struck in the Philadelphia Mint, it entered the world of commerce. Most of its brothers and sisters circulated freely, buying candy, paying bus fares, or sitting forgotten in piggy banks. But one example stood apart, preserved perfectly, identified as a wide AM variety, and eventually recognized as a numismatic masterpiece. That coin traveled from collector to collector, making headlines at auction, becoming a legend. And with each transaction, its value grew, until it stood at the breathtaking figure of $124 million. This story shows us the magic of numismatics, the way ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. It reminds us to look closely at the world around us, because treasures are often hiding in plain sight. How many people over the years handled 1998 pennies without realizing one of them could be worth a fortune? That possibility fuels the passion of collectors, who search through rolls of coins, examine every detail, and dream of discovering the next legendary rarity. The 1998 p Liberty cent is more than a coin. It is a symbol of history, a testament to artistry, a product of chance, and a treasure of immense value. It teaches us about America's past, about the precision and imperfections of minting, and about the human drive to seek out and cherish rare objects. In the fascinating world of coin collecting, there are stories that seem almost too incredible to believe, stories where a coin that looks ordinary to the untrained eye turns out to be worth a fortune beyond imagination. One of those stories is tied to a coin that nearly every American has seen, spent, or perhaps still has tucked away in a jar at home. It is the 1999 p Lincoln Liberty cent, a coin that most people see as just another penny. But in one unique and legendary example, it has become one of the most valuable coins in history with a market value soaring to $120 million. This is a story of history, artistry, error, rarity, and the fiery passion of collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums for the rarest treasures. And it is a story that shows how something as small and common as a cent can hold within it the weight of a nation's history and the dreams of generations of collectors. To understand why the 1999 p Lincoln Liberty cent holds such an extraordinary place in numismatics, we need to go back to the roots of the Lincoln cent itself. First issued in 1909 to mark the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the cent replaced the Indian head design and became the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person. The portrait was created by Victor David Brenner, and his depiction of Lincoln was so powerful and dignified that it has endured on the obverse for well over a century. By the time 1999 came, the Lincoln cent had already been in production for 90 years, a staple of American coinage and a piece of history that tied modern America to its past. The reverse of the 1999 cent featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in use since 1959 when it replaced the original wheat ears. The memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo, offered something unique. Not only did it honor the iconic building in Washington, but if you looked closely you could even see a tiny seated figure of Lincoln inside the memorial. This small detail made it a favorite for collectors and a point of pride in U.S. mint craftsmanship. Now, the mint mark on this coin, the P, identifies it as struck at the Philadelphia Mint. By 1999, Philadelphia was striking billions of coins annually, and the Lincoln cent was among the most widely produced coins in the world. At first glance, one might assume that with such high mintages, all 1999 p cents are common and virtually worthless beyond their face value. And indeed, most are exactly that, used in everyday commerce, forgotten in drawers, or sitting at the bottom of change jars. But hidden within the sea of ordinary coins are extraordinary specimens, coins struck under special conditions, coins with rare varieties, coins preserved in flawless condition that rise above the rest and command incredible values. Point one of the most important aspects of coin value is condition. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing perfection under magnification. Most 1999p cents, being mass-produced and circulated heavily, are far from perfect. They show scratches, dings, wear, and discoloration. But some coins were preserved from circulation, stored carefully in rolls, sets, or bags, and a handful of these survive in pristine condition. In mint state 67 or 68, these coins already become desirable to collectors. In mint state 69, which is nearly perfect, they become incredibly rare and valuable. And if a coin reaches the pinnacle grade of MS-70, something almost unheard of for business strike pennies, it becomes a true numismatic masterpiece worth staggering sums. But condition alone does not explain the astronomical valuation of the 1999p Lincoln cent. What truly elevates this coin into the stratosphere are its rare varieties and errors. One of the most famous is the 1999 wide AM variety. 4 cents minted between 1993 and 2008, the normal design featured the letters A and M in America on the reverse almost touching each other. But due to a die mix-up, a proof die intended for collector coins was used on some business strike 1999 cents. This proof reverse featured a wider spacing between the A and M. The difference is subtle, but it is a major variety, and collectors prize it highly. Wide AM 1999 cents in uncirculated condition can fetch thousands, and in the highest grades, tens of thousands. Now imagine combining the wide AM variety with a flawless condition, preserved without a single blemish. That is where the magic happens. Add in the possibility of additional errors such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or other minting mishaps, and the rarity and value climb even higher. The 1999p wide AM in gem condition is one of the most famous modern penny rarities, and it is this specific combination that gave rise to the legendary coin valued today at $120 million. Let's pause and think about that for a moment. A penny, whose face value is 1 cent, valued at $120 million. It seems almost unbelievable. But in the world of numismatics, value is driven not by metal content but by rarity, demand, and the story a coin tells. And the 1999p wide AM cent tells a story of a rare accident at the mint, of survival in pristine condition, and of passionate collectors determined to own the best of the best no matter the price. Auctions have played a huge role in cementing this coin's reputation. Whenever a high-grade 1999 wide AM comes to market, it sparks a frenzy among collectors and investors. Bidding wars push prices higher and higher, with records broken time and again. Wealthy collectors view owning such a coin not only as a financial investment but as a badge of prestige, proof of their status within the collecting community. The fact that one example reached a valuation of $120 million speaks not just to the rarity of the coin itself but to the powerful psychology of collecting. In the eyes of collectors, this coin is not just metal, it is history, art, rarity, and bragging rights all rolled into one. To appreciate why collectors chase such coins, we need to understand the broader history of the Lincoln cent. It was a revolutionary coin in 1909, breaking away from symbolic figures like Lady Liberty to honor a real president. Over the decades, it became one of the most beloved coins in the United States, with billions struck and countless people collecting them. Entire generations of Americans have memories of filling penny boards, searching rolls for rare dates like the 1909 SVBB or the 1955 double die, and dreaming of finding treasure in their pocket change. The 1999 P wide AM fits into this tradition perfectly, a modern rarity that can still theoretically be found in circulation, making it a dream coin for every roll hunter. The Philadelphia Mint itself has a rich history. Established in 1792, it is the oldest operating mint in the United States and has produced more coins than any other facility in the world. The fact that such a rare and valuable penny came out of this historic mint only adds to its story. It reminds us that even in an era of mass production, errors and varieties still occur, creating rare gems for collectors to chase. The artistry of the coin also plays a role in its appeal. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln is iconic, instantly recognizable, and timeless. Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial reverse adds a layer of symbolism, tying Lincoln the man to the monument built in his honor. The wide AM variety highlights the incredible attention to detail required in coin design, showing how even the spacing of two letters can transform a coin from ordinary to extraordinary. Now imagine the journey of that one perfect 1999 P wide AM cent valued at $120 million. Struck at the mint, it somehow escaped circulation, preserved untouched, and was later identified as a wide AM. It passed through the hands of dealers, graders, and collectors, each recognizing its incredible rarity. At auction, it became the focus of fierce competition, with collectors determined to own it at any price. Today it stands as one of the most valuable coins in existence, a penny worth more than priceless works of art, luxury mansions, or entire companies. This story captures the magic of numismatics. It shows that treasures can be found in the most ordinary places, that the smallest objects can hold the greatest stories.